Hello, everybody. This is going to be a love reading, romantic for most people, but it could be somebody else that you have a relationship with or wish to have a relationship with. So let's see where we're going with this. The Doubted Ching pre-messages here. At first, I wasn't sure I was going to use them and if it would pertain or not, but I think that this definitely pertains for some of you. The first one says, Sun Tzu said, all warfare is based on deception. And I was understanding this as that saying where all is fair in love and war. So I'm going to do this reading as though it's a romantic love prospect, I believe, based on these cards coming out. And so I think that we're trying to sift through somebody's genuine versus their mask, their genuine nature versus their presentation. Because, when you're first getting to know everybody, they always want to be presented in a certain way. And so that person might have a different level of genuine nature and transparency and showing their ability and willingness to show themselves. Other people may not have that same level, but everybody ultimately is out here in the world trying to be not everybody's trying as hard as others, again, to be a good person, but there's some type of thing that we're looking at to see who this person truly is. And on the back, the message gets a little bit deeper, and it says, don't be deceived. Life is hard enough when we are deceived by others, but even harder when we deceive ourselves, when we tell ourselves that others are better, smarter, more deserving of happiness than we are, or when our emotions sometimes get in the way of our more rational choices. Much of our freedom and power comes from control of our choices. Choose not to be deceived. And this card was reminding me of a card in my Love Notes from the Universe deck. It's very bouncy and upbeat and inspiring, reaffirming. It's a lot of affirmations. And there's a card in there that says, do not be deceived. There's no one more lovable nor more loved than you. And I know everyone, the universe. So don't let yourself feel, if you feel like somebody is really caught your eye and really deserving of love, don't talk yourself out of your worthiness and your deservingness. And don't think that other people are more beautiful, more magnetic, more charming, more educated, whatever you might be, whatever is your thing. Maybe some of you might, if you haven't already, might benefit from looking into your own personal astrology, into the Chiron placement in your chart. What sign does it show up in? What house placement does it have? Is it right on top of or next to any of your other placements? And does it make a specific angle, or is it completely opposite in the sky from, let's say, Saturn? And so then it's like a tug of war between really becoming foundationally secure versus being oppressed and doubtful and depressed about our perceived limitations, or our sense of guilt or shame over some idea that we aren't enough, haven't succeeded enough, or don't have enough to offer. So we're supposed to be really taking ourselves more seriously in this way, and probably practicing a lot of affirmations and affirming self-speak. And if you need some help, go out online, get some of those what are they, like the YouTube broadcasts where like you'll have this background music and then it's just like, I am loved, I am supported, I am here for a reason, my body is strong and recovering, those type of things. and it's very important to, I told one of my uh, social media acquaintances recently, she really struggles with a lot of different aspects all happening to her at once. And it creates a lot of anxiety and depression and um, feelings of not being understood or appreciated or accepted by the people that she loves the most. They keep giving her all this advice and telling her she's not trying hard enough to be happy or functional. And so it's like at some point we have to then stop asking for the advice and just accept ourselves for who and how we are or are not. So Sun Tzu also said, the clever combatant looks to the effect of combined energy and does not require too much from individuals, hence his ability to pick out the right men and utilize combined energy. So, in this process, because we're not going to be deceived by any of the players or so on in life, we can then, when we do see something that we love or like or are attracted to, we're not going to deceive ourselves. And then, because of that, we are going to instead present ourselves with our best foot forward in self belief that, you know, maybe I had too much chocolate cake over the holiday, and now, you know, I have another goal that I'm gonna need to go into, but I'm not gonna sit here and say that that makes me a bad person. So we really need to be clever when the ego wants to tell us that we should just play small or stay unhappy or hide ourselves away from the love that's trying so desperately to find us in return. So yeah, also in this way, once we move through all of those gateways of belief and approach and attraction and interconnectivity with the energies and self extension, showing up for ourselves, showing out just because we deserve and we are entitled to some level of self expression that's meaningful and brings out our passions and our inspiration and shows our unique qualities for what and who and how we are and aren't, right? So, looking towards that combined energy with other people, you know, in that same individual's case where the people around her are like, well, you know, you just need to be more positive. Well, instead of that, why don't you show her? So here's what I chose to say is that sometimes other people will have no end to the advice that they can give us. But in all of this time, what she's actually witnessing is her own ability to grow, to achieve, to overcome. How far have you come? And have you, in fact, now outgrown the people that told you that you weren't doing it right? How many changes have they made in effect in their life? Are they just better at putting a mask on? Are they just better at numbing out and being aligned with a dysfunctional society or their own dysfunctional toxic relationship and interconnectivity with their own situations? We need to be clever about the misrepresentation of how we feel and how others seem. It's like they might seem happier, they might seem like they have more leisure time, but what do we have control over? Our own choices to balance our own energies. And so when any of these self destructive thoughts arise, we are the one that we need to say, I take back my energy from the fear or this narrative. And I told her that a number of things like humming interrupts the flow of thought. And so when I recognized that I was speaking poorly about myself um, in my process of healing, I noticed that I'd be like, oh, well, you shouldn't have said that. They probably think that you're stupid or such and such. And I'd be like, that's all right. People will think whatever they're going to think, but at least I had the capacity and the wherewithal to show up and say what I think. You know, they're over there thinking things, but not expressing. So who holds the power, right? So give yourself much more credit where credit is due and go out and get the life that you are intended for, that's promised for you. So in this, all of this to say that we need to look to also the power of the combined energy, where the people that she was outgrowing are evidence of where she came from. The people that helped in some way to foster and nurture her into that submissive position where they could feel superior to her process while she's being transparent and loving and wishing for healing, right? The judgment there versus, is she able to then take her attention back from the appearance of the haters and their judgments and then pay attention to the people who do affirm her, to her own inner narrative that says, have I done enough for these people? Let them be themselves and I'm going to take my power back. And so other people, it's like when we're looking for who's deceiving and who's just being positive and trying to be the best aspect of themselves versus actually trying to misrepresent lower unresolved issues, and we become very clever indeed in the art of war and love. And we no longer ask the individual to fit our narrative, but we begin to allow them to be themselves and redirect ourselves towards what is stabilizing, what is supportive, what is reinforcing, affirming, what tells us that our power is the truth, right? And so also, before we go and look towards every opportunity with what we can gain, we can also look towards what do we have to share with this individual, whether we're looking for love, for a job, for mutual intellectual exchanges and some type of bonding and acceptance. We also, when we're asking for unconditional love and acceptance, we need to unconditionally love and accept them. And just as they're trying to correct us, then we can correct them and say, I can understand why you might think that about me, and I appreciate your urge to help me with your advice. However, I'm not sure what you have just said is as helpful as what it could be. I think that I'm doing a great job in regards to this, and I'm always growing and changing and advancing, but I appreciate you caring enough to respond. You're entitled to your opinion type of a response, but really taking that into the self and then rejecting the judgment aspect of it, reflecting and releasing. So nurturing the friendships and making sure that if we do choose to take a romantic partner, that we are in fact also looking for somebody that we can be friends with. Let me adjust my camera one moment, folks. I just need to keep an eye on the timer here. So the human condition requires that to be whole, each person establishes a network of interpersonal relationships to help realize their human potential. The true power of friendship cannot really be understood or explained. It can only be truly experienced. A friendship network does not grow in linear fashion. It grows in all directions. One friend is of great value. Then, what is the value of two? And so I think too, we need to recognize that if we need somebody to uplift us, let's not go to our friend that's going to be necessarily the devil's advocate unless we're in the dark space and they need to bring us back into our light. If we need some humor, going to the person who has the upbeat, positive aspect that can see and trust and has faith in the process and in us to bring us back into our light. So, yeah, friendships too, preceding the romance. It's like sometimes we can become accidentally codependent when we don't feel fulfilled on the basis of friendship level, right? So if we're not out there, if we're a hermit in our own life, like there's been different times in my past where I've been all about the household, the family, the homestead, and doing the chores, doing my job, doing this, and I don't really make time for the friendships. And then I find that when a friend does come over, it's like I have so much to share and to express. And So it's like the same thing with romance. If you haven't been in a romantic relationship for a while, you might kind of feel starved for things like hugs, kisses, cuddles, and all of the things that come with that, like somebody who's got to put up with me and whatever else, and somebody who's got to give me compliments, type of thing. But when we can nurture ourselves, when our friends can supply us with that sense of camaraderie and acceptance, when we can provide ourselves with that first and foremost, then we're not going to be seeking too much from the individuals that we're asking to come into our lives and being like, you don't love me, blah, 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 or you didn't do this the way that somebody would do if they this and that. It can be so heavy up front. And instead, it's like being centered and whole into yourself here is really what we're talking about before this message. So also keep your cool comes out. Modern life can be stressful, and it's often full of, quote, disorder and hubbub, including disagreements, arguments, or even worse, like critiques, right? Keep your calm because you may need it. The fastest way to lose focus is to lose your cool. Take a deep breath and think before acting or speaking and um, telling yourself or others that they don't love you right. If you can keep your wits about you in the midst of a crisis, it will serve you well. And if somebody is not treating you correctly, also keeping your cool and not trying to correct or gain favor when somebody is critiquing unfairly is also something that's like you can maintain that presence where if you feel yourself saying, you know, they're right, there's something wrong with me, you can kind of like, you know, let me stop you right there. I understand that you think that a certain way. However, this doesn't feel good, and I'm not sure why you're saying it, but I just need to stop you there. Or on the phone, like, I've really got to go. This isn't feeling good. I need space, you know. But even in the conversation flow, notice that's, well, the vibrational interruption. It's like, contemplation, centering, bring me back into my vibration. 73. The Tao is always at ease. It overcomes without competing, answers without speaking a word, arrives without being summoned, accomplishes without a plan. Its net covers the whole universe, and though its meshes are wide, it doesn't let a thing slip through. So yeah, not letting a thing slip through, not letting ourselves energetically abandon our own inner light by choosing and redirecting our own energy and honoring the redirects that happen externally. So underneath this deck too, before I move on, we do have Sound the Fierce Flute. This is often that high vibrational influx energy that interrupts the flow of something. It's like I just said that, I had forgotten this was here. It's like if somebody, I had this client for a while who would just go and go, and she'd really get going, and there was really almost no way to get a word in edgewise, as they say, and it would go from negativity to judgment to gossip to slander and back around, and then judgments about people such as, and she'd be talking about a group, a segment, a whatever, but it would somehow subtly educate me about how I could change or how I should be ashamed of different aspects of natural human dimensions. And so in that moment, it's like when anybody does that to us or about another in our presence and it makes us feel a certain way, there's the need to break through this sound barrier with the sacred om of the universe, whether that's a hum or a, well, on that note, let us take a deep breath and recenter our energies and get back to the point at hand or something. So I feel you redirecting something, and it may be your own fears about moving forward into something that looks like you are interested, but also fearful of being taken for granted or taking advantage of, or something like that, or being deceived on any level. And at the time of this broadcast, especially for women, I'm going to say, it's definitely a time of fear and anxiety that others will not be respectful and will be misrepresenting and wanting something different than is approached. And so let yourself really sink deeply into your self-value before moving forward, so that you will nip that shit right in the bud. Coming out first, we have new blueprints. I like that. New soul contracts, new understanding that yields new results. So there's a new construct, there's a new master plan. And with this new change, we've outgrown the old effery, if you know what I'm talking about. Awakened awareness is under the deck. Yeah, you're seeing through the pattern, seeing through some type of like crystallized. It's like I'm seeing in the movies where you see people be like freeze and somebody's like, freeze frame, and it's like something that's literally like it's moving, and then it's like grinds to a screeching halt in the moment, and then there's piercing clarity in the moment. So what else? What can you tell us about this is intended to be love and romance? What is the spiritual connectivity in this situation we're looking at, specifically the one that we have in mind? Awakened awareness comes back in. This attraction or opportunity that you are considering right here is first and foremost about awakening you to your own beauty, to your own value in some type of a way. Shine your lights under the deck. That's beautiful. You could always find somebody that you could think was prettier, smarter, bigger, better, faster, more. But the unique alchemy and combination of what you are is going to so beautifully complement the unique alchemy of somebody else or several others. Just look at the different friendships, the different exes that we've had or may not have, different situations and experiences. Everything that we've experienced is also part of the magic that we bring forward, the interest that we have, the passions and the perspectives that we have generated within us are so much a part of our unique characteristics. Under the deck now we have our ancient future. I believe many of you are going to resonate with feeling like you're an old soul. But with new blueprints, it's interesting because the ancient future is talking about how the timeless nature of things and how cycles repeat, how patterns repeat, but how ultimately it's not a closed loop of a circle. It's actually, we see the infinity sign. It's the circle twisted and elongated into the figure 8. It then loops around. The infinity symbol talks about how things return and come back to themselves, but it's also more like a spiral. I'm seeing the 3D imagery where they show the figure 8 moving into the formation of matter. It's just really, it's like that. I don't know what, sometimes words elude me. Is it called ASMR, where you watch something and it's soothing or satisfying in some type of way to the senses, watching this image form? It's like the awakened awareness. It's like without doing a thing, it says in the Tao here. It's like by believing and caring for ourselves and becoming more independent and self-sufficient and self-believing and self-affirming and self-validating, then we automatically start attracting magnetically all of these new experiences, and we become so magnetically attractive to so much of a vaster range of individuals. So if you're feeling magnetic right now, you're going to be attracting many different types of people. So don't go for the bottom of the barrel, the low hanging fruit. Go for what you want. You know, because down the road you're going to want someone, something for yourself that actually has something to give back, something to share as that friendship. It's like a cooperative engagement, not just uh, some type of a strategic tit for tat type of a scorekeeping. So let's see what else. The infinite. There's definitely this emerging self. Oh, yes, I'm seeing this release to the universe. Like, maybe at the time of the recent full moon, you had this release of other people's expectations. It's like letting that ish go and stepping through to the other side. A lot of self care, a lot of self possession, a lot of self recognition, and all of these things we've been talking about. Trusting your innocence, trusting your divine perfection in the way that you are and aren't, like we were talking about, and trust your spontaneous everything that is in your becomingness to be divinely perfect, to attract what is meant for you. Crystal keys. Look at that. This is you getting the keys to what has been elusive in the past. So if you've had many different opportunities that fell short, many different individuals that promised but then didn't follow through, or maybe different life goals for yourself that you would get so far and then not quite crest and move over the biggest of the hills. It's coming into a time where it is actually coming through. It's like you didn't have the right keys, you didn't have the right combination to unlock the next level until you went through this awakened awareness, this moving through other people's expectations and saying, I'm going to just sit in my own awareness. Solar plexus chakra, radiant illumination. Absolutely. You're allowing the infinite unconditional love, the passion and the innocence of your beingness to shine through, let the spark of your inner child. So, yeah, I feel like this sound, the fierce flute, is also this extreme release of all of those burdens and fears and anxieties. And I think you're going to be preparing yourself to come back into the fold of something, whether you're going to reemerge with another perspective or be heard, be seen, coming out of a comfort zone and extending yourself, expressing yourself. You're recognizing that intensity does not equal intimacy. And so I think that you're realigning and releasing different people, places, and situations from your energy because you're recognizing your own attraction patterns, why it was necessary, and perhaps how you were predisposed to thinking that the intensity was evidence of cooperative energies, but then seeing that there was just conflict energy, then moving beyond conflict and saying, I deserve to feel good in this energy and to move towards what I really truly like, what really lights up my soul into that passionate awareness. That power couple dynamic has come through. Let's see, we have reassess your reasons for busyness, prioritize your goals. So you may be keeping yourself distracted, and you may also, there's this predisposition of us as humble, compassionate, empathic individuals to keep working and working on ourselves and dragging it out and saying, when I lose 5 more pounds, or when I put on 5 more pounds of muscle, or, when I finally get that perfect haircut, then I'll extend myself. Then I'll put my selfie out there. Then I will do this, this, and this. And it's like when we keep dissecting ourselves, how do we ever think that we'll accomplish wholeness? And it's about releasing the judgments sometimes and embracing the truth of wholeness. It's like we're not going to stop reflecting. And so what we do need to do is release the anxiety that is blocking the next level. Libra can be the overthinkers and the people pleasers of the deck, as well as it talks a lot about rebalancing our energies. And for some of you, this can also talk about getting some type of justice or getting what you deserve in some type of a way. But you can also be dealing with a Libra or have prominent Libra in your chart. So 55-55, we have an extreme change coming up here, and Mars is about to go retrograde in the coming phase in December of 24. And it's going to be going through quite a bit of ego release type of ground, and how that pertains to our home life, our inner temple, and our belief about how we can operate as sensitive, proactive, and assertive individuals, empowered and not devoured by our observations and our responsibilities and responsiveness and reactions in this world. Accountability as well. Golden light code activation, breathing deeply, getting some fresh air in nature, grounding, hydrate yourself, cleanse and clear. And it says, radiate and express that truth and the light that you are here. So let's get some specific things. Like we've seen about getting ourselves together. This is already underway. What can you tell us about the individual that's gotten our attention? There's some obsessive energy and cutting cords and release. Again, we had that release energy there. So let's just get a couple more cards. I don't know whose side this obsession is happening on, but I think that too, we're talking about the obsession with the details of a situation. So are we out of time? I think we're going to say that that's good enough, that we're going to get out of hermitage for a change. Don't wait for the perfect opportunity. Go out and make the opportunity perfect. Slay your demons that are holding you back. Expand yourself with Jupiter. Go out and have a good time. Feel safe to be yourself and to express. By the time that the new moon comes around, I think that you're going to have a passionate spark of potential coming forward. Let's get some oracle cards and finish this up before I run out of time. These are some of the affirming messages. All right, you have more options than you currently may recognize. It sure is hard to get really angry at somebody when you can think of all the reasons you love them, and you can. The universe. Yeah, there's some friends here that are perhaps making you feel like you should withhold, but this is an internal limitation that can be overcome. Things are about to get really juicy for you. So the great thing about feeling deep, profound, earth-shaking love is that you can start with anyone. Next, the universe. So if you were left feeling rejected or unworthy following some type of engagement, any type, then know that that does not diminish your light or your beauty or your deservingness of this next thing for you. Things are about to get really good. There isn't a soul on the planet